up close, and I will do my best to get him all the way around the arena. Well, he's kind of dark brown and yellow, really. But there's a reason for this, and that's because Bruce really is still a very young bird. He's about 8 months old, and he's not going to end up with his adult feathers until he's about 4 years old. But what will happen, because birds of prey, like Bruce, molt every single year for the duration of their lives, and he might go on and live till he's 40, maybe 50 years of age. They have ever such a long lifespan indeed. But by the time he gets to be about 4, he'll have a slate blue-grey back, a white chest, and a dark black or dark blue bib underneath his chin. These birds are absolutely beautiful, truly lovely birds to look at. They live wild in the mountains of South America. They've got an enormous wingspan designed to allow him to circle and soar around the skies. I'm not ready, young man, keep going. So yeah, that's what he's all about, a big soaring bird. And at 8 months old, well, he's still obviously in training. Now, he's been really happy to come and land on the log in the middle of the arena. And the reason for that is because he's much further away from you all. So when I first met Bruce, you see, he was petrified of me. The last thing on his mind was to allow me to carry him or even get him to come along and land on the end of my arm. He just didn't want to do it at all. Once we brought him to the arena, it's an equally scary place because you're all staring at him. And he really is of the opinion that all of you people in the cheap seats down at this bottom end here are particularly scary. So what we've done, we've actually put these posts around the edge of the arena, deliberately trying to encourage Bruce to come along and actually land on them. And you know, he really is, he's just thinking, I don't like the look of these people down here. Please don't take it personal. He's much happier further up at that top end. But it is going to come too. It just takes a little bit of time. And I spend absolutely weeks and months, years even, trying to get the birds somewhere near their absolute best. And Bruce is getting there, but I'm hoping that he's going to be as good as his dad. I flew his dad here from 2005 right up to and including the 2010 season. So 6 seasons in total. His dad really was marvellous. And some of you will be thinking, well, what are you messing about with Bruce for if his dad's so good? Why don't you just carry on flying his dad? Well, I wish I could. But unfortunately, his dad, who's called Ebor, was expelled from Warwick Castle for bad behaviour. Now, I better give you an idea what I'm talking about. What he would do, because I'm trying to get Bruce to do similar things. His dad loved to fly up onto the castle wall, and then he would go up into that tree over there, and Bruce already loves that particular tree. But what would happen, when I actually would call his dad off the ramparts, for instance, I would then give him this signal. So Bruce understands this. He knows that it means that I haven't got anything for him, and he's got to go off and do something a bit more exciting. Now, eventually, he's going to start circling, gaining height, and that's exactly what his dad used to do. I could get him going up to 3 and 4 and 500 feet in the sky, and as he come right overhead, I would then put the food out on the end of my arm, or indeed onto the log, and then he would fold his wings up and dive in head first, hitting speeds over 100 miles an hour. He was absolutely spectacular. Now, one particular day in 2010, he was in the exact right position. I put the food out, and just after I put the food out, unfortunately, one of the local ducks that was walking around behind the benches decided to get up and make a dash for the River Avon. Unfortunately, Ebor changed their direction, sort of homed in right behind the duck. He grabbed it in midair, right over where you guys are standing there, carried on flying just beyond the archery section and landed there, where he obviously started to devour his prize. Now, the vast majority of people that were watching were like, wow, that were brilliant. But obviously, what we're trying to do here is put on a bird show, and you don't need these things happening. When he's got his own meal, then he doesn't want to come to me for anything else at all. So I was just hoping that it was kind of a one-off, but unfortunately, over the course of the next 3 weeks, he caught 20-odd different mammals and birds. and a reptile. He actually caught a grass snake as well up on the side of the mound. But he was catching jackdaws, wood pigeons. He even was particularly keen on grey squirrels, the Warwickshire grey squirrel. So my entertainment manager had had enough at that point and effectively sacked him. So that's why his dad ended up in a breeding aviary. We bought a female for him called Heather, and we put them in place at the International Centre for Birds of Prey. It's in Newent, in Gloucestershire, and what a fantastic place that is. If you've got any real bird of prey fans here, it's a must visit, and you can see his mum and dad there right now. But in 2011, quite disappointingly, nothing happened. They didn't even build a nest. Obviously, you put the nesting material in, but it's up to the birds to get on with it. But 2012, it all came right. We would have been thrilled to get one baby. They normally lay 2 eggs in a clutch, but they actually had 4 clutches of eggs, 3 lots of 2 eggs and 1 clutch of 3 eggs, so 9 eggs in total. And out of those, they successfully reared 7 babies. Bruce being the seventh one, the youngest one. And to my knowledge, his mum and dad are the only breeding pair of grey eagle buzzards. Are you going to land this time? They're not that scary, honestly. Oh, brilliant, well done. So yeah, to my knowledge, his mum and dad are the only breeding pair of grey eagle buzzards here in the United Kingdom. So it really did work out absolutely fantastic. So I'm kind of hoping he's going to end up like his dad. Obviously not catching things, but I want him to be able to fly in the manner that his father did. And he's getting better and better the whole time. What I'm really needing to concentrate on now is just getting him a little bit more confident around everybody that is watching. And that's what we have to do with each and every one of the birds that we work with here. So I'm going to bring him back along this way. I'm really pleased I managed to get him in onto that post over there. But I do keep working him to the log, and there's a particular way that I've got to call him in to the post, because if he tries to snatch the pieces, like he did do down here, well, it's not so bad when he's coming in on that angle. But if he was coming in from that tree up there, for instance, and I put some food out, and he tried to grab it, and then as he got hold of it, he often drops the pieces. And you don't really want a chicken head or whatever it is in your picnic. So I am trying to be quite careful, and obviously trying to get as much work as we can out of him. When he goes up into the trees, he's having to use a lot of energy, you know, and it's been very, very warm recently. It's pretty warm today, and it takes its toll on the birds, just like it does with everybody. And your appetite isn't just as much as it will be on a much cooler day. And this is the relationship that he and I have. Basically, the way that it goes is that I love Bruce, but Bruce doesn't love me. He will never ever fly to me just because he wants to be with me. So completely different to a dog that you might have at home. Now I have a border terrier at home called Midge. Midge is lovely. And when I go to see Midge after work, she's going to be genuinely excited to see me. But that's because, being a dog, she's a social creature, a pack animal, and she wants to belong to my family group, and that's the difference. Bruce has no desire to be with members of his own kind, and he's a bit young for girls yet. He's only going to be interested in those when he's about 4 years of age. So it's just really a case of working with him, trying to get as much mileage out of him as we can, and we're going to see. This might get you, Zoe. Is he going to land? Oh, that's brilliant. He's doing really, really well. I also want to explain to you why it is that he's wearing a pair of bells. You've all probably heard them as he's flying, but you might not know where they are. They're actually attached, one on each leg. And often we put a bell on the bird's tail as well. But that is the traditional way of locating a lost bird of prey. And for no other reason than on what his dad was like, this bird is very losable. I've seen him looking at wood pigeons when he's been up in the trees, and he's thinking, there's something interesting about those, but I can't just quite work out what that is. So should he disappear into the trees and has caught something, obviously I need to be able to get him back under control, so I can hear where he is, and then I can go and find him. Falconry is the art of training a bird of prey to pursue and catch wild game in its natural environment. And this is the historical connection, because birds of prey were kept here at the castle and used for hunting. But they've never used grey eagle buzzards. They couldn't have got them back in the day. They're from South America. So they used indigenous birds. Birds from the UK, like a peregrine falcon, the fastest animal on the planet. It's been clocked at well over 200 miles an hour in a dive. They also used a much smaller falcon called a merlin, and then goshawks and sparrowhawks, and between them they caught all different manner of prey. So that's the reason why I find myself here flying birds on pretty much a daily basis. Now Bruce is having quite a bit of food here, and the food is all starting to build up inside of him, and it's not going to be too long now before he thinks to himself, is it really worth going back up onto that castle wall? Do I really want to get anything else to eat? But I'm sure that we can get one last flight out of him, so I'll send him back up in that direction. We're going to just try him this way, if we can do. I'm going to put a lovely sized piece of food on here, and let's see if we can get him to put the air brakes on coming in from this direction. But just watch his response. He should just jump off there, and having said that, he's delayed, but he should be off there straight away. Just slow down, slow down. Oh, the chicken. Oh, dear. Right.
Yeah.
That was fairly interesting. I better just go and pick up that piece of chicken, haven't I? He had hold of it, and thanks very much, guys. He had a hold of it in his feet, and he would always catch prey using his feet every single time. The birds just use the beaks just to tear the food up into smaller pieces, making it easy for them to eat the dinner down. That missed you by about 4 feet. I'm very sorry about that. Right, so Bruce is up in his tree and he's feeling a bit sorry for himself because he didn't manage to get the food, and that is also quite a good thing, because he might encourage him then to think about slowing down and landing on the perch. But I don't think we're going to bother trying that again now. I think we'll just call him in safely onto this log here. He's waiting very patiently for me to come along and put the piece of food out. So hopefully when I do that, he should be straight on his way in. Once he lands and has eaten that piece of food, then he'll be desperate to get over to me, obviously, for his last piece. And then we can pop him back into his half of the arena box. So let's give him a really big round of applause, everybody, for a grey eagle buzzard. So obviously that was bird number 1. So the other